This is Chapel Street, one of the original 7 streets of the city of Liverpool. The chapel referred to is not the parish church of St Nicholas, but rather the original chapel of St Mary del Quay, which stood on the same spot. The Royal Charter of 1207 saw Liverpool stage weekly markets with stalls lining places like Chapel Street, Old Hall Street and Moor Street, which is now Tybarn Street. Moorfields is a later addition and in the 13th century was cultivated farmland. But Dale Street was one of the original 7 streets, and it brings us here to the High Street. Now cut short by exchange flags, for centuries it ran through into Old Hall Street. High Street was part of the original 7, but for years its name was Juggler Street, a reference to market entertainers and possibly to a public house named the Juggler. In High Street we find a side entrance to Liverpool Town Hall. This superb Georgian mansion fronts onto Dale Street. It is in fact the third of its kind, and its 2 predecessors did stand in High Street. The Town Hall is one of the oldest surviving buildings in the city centre. The original architect was John Wood the Elder, and construction was completed by 1754. More than a century later, improvements were ordered, and in 1785 an extension was designed by James Wyatt. But then disaster struck and much of that building was destroyed by fire in 1795. It took a further 25 years to see the town hall rebuilt with an elegant new cupola, and much of the fabric that we see today dates back to that period, early in the 19th century. The dome rises to a height of 106 feet and is faced by 4 clocks flanked by lions and unicorns. It's topped by a figure of Minerva, the Roman goddess of wisdom and protector of cities. She is decked in 87,000 square inches of gold leaf. Inside, the main door leads to the entrance hall, with floor tiles showing Liverpool's coat of arms and the liver bird. At the rear is the council chamber, which boasts mahogany panelled walls. It can seat up to 160 people. Perhaps its most recent claim to fame was as the scene of the heated debates of the 1980s that led to the council defying the government of Margaret Thatcher, leading to 47 Labour councillors being debarred from office. Liverpool City Council now meets here every 7 weeks, and those meetings are all open to the public. The grand staircase, itself a masterpiece of its kind, leads up to the first floor. Here are all the rooms designed for entertainment and have connecting doors that allow guests to circulate. The middle room on the south side of the building is the central reception room, with its circular ceiling and plasterwork designed by Francesco Bernasconi. This room leads onto the balcony, where the Beatles famously greeted fans on their return from the USA in 1964. To the right is the west reception room, with a vaulted ceiling and marble fireplace. Through a small room, visitors then enter the dazzling centrepiece of the hall, the large ballroom. This occupies the whole of Wyatt's north extension and boasts a 40-foot high ceiling. Each of the shorter walls is home to a massive mirror. In the south wall is a minstrel's gallery and 2 white marble chimney pieces. Hanging from the ceiling are 3 of the finest Georgian chandeliers in Europe. Each is 28 feet high, contains 20,000 pieces of cut glass crystal and weighs over a tonne. The east side of the hall is occupied by the small ballroom or music room, which also has 3 chandeliers. Guided tours of the town hall are staged each month and need to be booked in advance. It's a popular venue for weddings and is also hired out for other functions and events. From the town hall we venture down busy Water Street, another of the city's ancient 7 streets. And travelling along the Strand, which once marked the shore of the River Mersey, we find our next port of call. It's the White Star Building, now known as the 30 James Street Hotel. Operated by Signature Living, the hotel revels in its reputation as the home of the White Star Line. This was the place where the news of the sinking of the Titanic was first relayed to the steamship company's headquarters on the 14th of April 1912. When news of the Titanic disaster reached the offices, steamship company officials were too afraid to leave the building and instead read the news of the deceased from the balcony. After White Star merged with the Cunard Line, its headquarters remained at the building, also known as Albion House, until 1927. It is a Grade 2 listed building and was completed in 1898, designed by architects Richard Norman Shaw and J. Francis Doyle. It was built for the Ismay, Imrie and Company, which later became the White Star Line. The facade is constructed from a combination of white Portland stone and red brick and of a similar Victorian Romanesque style to that used in the former New Scotland Yard Police HQ on the Embankment in London. The entrance to the building at James Street has a fine mosaic tile floor showing South America. It was designed to impress visitors to the grand lobby of the shipping line and now leads to hotel lounge area and bar. Upper floors that were previously offices and the boardroom have been tastefully converted to stylish bedrooms and public areas. During World War II, the gable of the building was severely damaged by bombs and was rebuilt in the late 1940s. The hotel owners recently launched a forlorn search for a huge clock that once stood on the corner of the building and was dismantled in the 1940s. It was hoped parts might be found lying in some forgotten corner, but to date nothing has come to light. During the 50s and 60s, the building was home to the Ellerman and Papania lines, and the facade was covered in large gold leaf lettering proclaiming the many destinations of its vessels. Few photos from this period exist, and we'd be interested to hear from anyone who may have an image dating from that time. Standing next door to Albion is another building that was destroyed in the Blitz. James Street Station's brick tower has been replaced by this rather bland 60s office block, but the station still claims its place in history. The station opened as the original Liverpool terminus of Mersey Railway Tunnel in 1886. James Street Station, together with Hamilton Square Station and Birkenhead, are the oldest deep-level underground stations in the world. The stations were so deep they required hydraulic lifts to give access. This gave rise to another world first, with the stations having the first platforms served by lifts. In 1892, a tunnel was extended to Liverpool Central Station, changing James Street's status to a through station, and this was followed in the 1970s by the development of the Liverpool Loop Line, seeing a third platform added to James Street. Of the original two platforms at James Street, only the westbound remains in regular use. Platform 2, the original up platform, is kept in near original condition, being used only when trains are prevented from using the loop itself. From the station, let's nip up James Street past some of the majestic old banking halls to the site of the Queen Victoria Monument. Unveiled in 1908, it was built on the site of the long-vanished Liverpool Castle. The monument is in the neo-Baroque style, and the central figure of the old Queen is one of 26 sculptures at the site by artist C.J. Allen. It was designed by F.M. Simpson of the Liverpool School of Architecture and is built of Portland stone. 4 groups of figures around the pedestal represent agriculture, commerce, industry, and education. The statue of the Queen stands under a dome supported by 4 groups of columns, topped by 4 allegorical figures representing justice, wisdom, charity, and peace. And on top of the dome itself is a large figure representing fame. It is all Grade 2 listed. We mentioned a little earlier the war damage to this area during the Blitz. It gave the town planners a field day, and in Liverpool in the 1960s an idea was born for footpaths in the air. And this ugly walkway stands as a monument to that pipe dream. The plan called for a network of elevated walkways to separate pedestrians from traffic on the roads below. For more than a decade, every new building was required to have an entrance on the first floor. Many structures bear witness to that plan today, including St John's Shopping Precinct and Moorfield Station. The scheme was finally abandoned by Merseyside County Council in the mid-70s when it was labelled as impractical and too costly. We are heading south now, away from the heart of the city to the Docklands, that were left abandoned and derelict while these footpaths were being built. Come back in part 2 and hear how the Albert Dock escaped the planners' clutches and how the King's Dock is driving the city's modern renaissance. We are heading now for the largest single group of Grade 1 listed buildings in Britain, the Albert Dock. Today it is a bustling leisure and shopping centre, one of the jewels in the city's crown. But back in the 1960s and 70s, it was considered something of a white elephant that needed a radical overhaul. A new use was to be found for the warehouses that were designed to hold cargoes unloaded from the holds of sailing ships. Designed by Jesse Hartley and Philip Hardwick, it was opened in 1846 and was the first structure in Britain to be built from cast iron, brick and stone. No structural wood was used in its construction, and as a result, it was regarded as the first non-combustible warehouse system in the world. At the time of its construction, the dock was considered a revolutionary because ships were loaded and unloaded directly in and out of the warehouses. 2 years after it opened, it was modified to feature the world's first hydraulic cranes served by the pump house. Due to its open yet secure design, the Albert Dock became a popular store for valuable cargoes such as brandy, cotton, tea, silk, tobacco, ivory and sugar. However, the rapid development of shipping technology in the 19th century meant that within 50 years it was out of date, since bigger ships needed wider, more open facilities that were provided in the North and South Docks. During the Second World War, the Albert Dock was requisitioned by the Admiralty, serving as a base for boats of the British Atlantic Fleet. The Albert Dock suffered war damage, and though it was still used for storage for a period, by the mid-1960s it was surplus to requirements and stood abandoned and derelict. This was when the planners moved in. One proposal that was taken seriously was for the demolition of the warehouses to allow Liverpool Polytechnic to construct a new home on a single site. That idea was dropped, but then in 1970, developer Harry Hyams unveiled a £100 million scheme he called Aquarius City. It would have turned the Albert Dock into an office complex, and the Canning and Salthouse docks would have been filled in for underground car parks topped with water. That dream was thankfully short-lived and abandoned within a year. Following the Toxteth riots in 1981, the Albert Dock Company was formed by Michael Heseltine, and work began on renovation to convert the warehouses into shops, apartments, bars, restaurants, offices, art galleries and museums that are all here today. It is a mecca for tourists, but like many other docks, could have so easily been razed to the ground, but for the fact that Liverpool just did so much to attract so much investment in the 1960s and 70s. Between the Albert Dock and our next building, we will take a look at the Wheel of Liverpool. It is a transportable Ferris wheel located at Keele Wharf. It was opened on 25th of March 2010 and stands 196 feet tall. It weighs 365 tonnes and has 42 fully enclosed capsules. The wheel had been planned for 3 years by the company Great City Attractions. A smaller observation wheel had operated at Liverpool One for a while, and this was dismantled when the Wheel of Liverpool was completed on the 11th of February 2010 at a cost of £6 million. The wheel was closed for a short time when Great City Attractions went into administration in 2012. However, it was purchased by Fresh Entertainment International, and it is currently operated by their subsidiary Wheels Entertainment Limited. A ride on the wheel costs £9 for an adult. Our next destination is close by, the ACC Liverpool, which describes itself as the place where Liverpool welcomes the world. It is home to the Echo Arena, the BT Convention Centre, and most recently the Exhibition Centre Liverpool. It is located on the banks of the Mersey and close to the World Heritage Site waterfront. It features Europe's only purpose-built interconnected arena, conference and exhibition venue. Of course, it would not be Liverpool if there had not been some controversy before it was decided to build the ACC. Throughout the late 1990s, Everton Football Club had plans to develop a site as a replacement for Goodison Park. But by 2003, the club were forced to abandon the scheme, paving the way for an alternative. Exciting, resonant and inspirational. These are some of the words visitors use to describe ACC Liverpool. Standing on the banks of the River Mersey at the heart of the city's iconic waterfront, ACC Liverpool is a world-class facility in a unique setting. Originally built at a cost of £164 million, the Arena and Conference Centre was financed by Liverpool City Council, English Partnerships, the North West Regional Development Agency and grants from the European Regional Development Fund. It is owned by Liverpool City Council, and the ACC Liverpool Group were appointed as the management company to run it on the council's behalf. The building itself was designed by Williamson Eyre Architects, with the two elements designed to resemble the wings of a giant butterfly settling on the water's edge. Its design called for excavations to take part of the auditoriums below ground level, making it less obtrusive and maintaining stunning views of Liverpool and the World Heritage Site from across the river from the Wirral Peninsula. The Arena and Conference Centre provides a range of flexible options for conferences, exhibitions, banquets and shows, and an on-site multi-storey car park which has space for up to 1,600 vehicles. From intimate meetings for 10 delegates to large international conferences, ACC Liverpool boasts 15,225 square metres of combined exhibition space, 21 breakout rooms with capacities ranging from 10 to 613, and a 1,350-seat tiered auditorium with 2 rotating drums that mean it can be subdivided into 3 separate self-contained meeting spaces, 2 holding 250 and the third 850. September 2015 saw the opening of a state-of-the-art 8,100 square metre exhibition centre at Liverpool, making it the latest addition to the family of world-class venues. With an investment of around £40 million, the new venue consists of 8,100 square metres of exhibition space, which can be subdivided into 3 interlinked Pillar 3 exhibition halls, each 2,700 square metres in size, which can be used separately or in combination. February 2016 saw the addition of the final piece in the ACC jigsaw with the opening of the luxury Pullman Hotel Liverpool. This 4-star hotel is directly linked to the exhibition centre and has increased the number of bedrooms on the ACC site to 658, while the city centre bed stock now tops more than 6,000 rooms, meaning that the city centre is now attracting some of the biggest international conferences. Among the events that have been hosted at the ACC are the Labour Party Conference and the Liberal Democrat Conference. Tune in to the next time we explore the streets of Liverpool. You never quite know where they will take you.